I think I tend to already feel bad about feeling bad about anything ever. So now I feel even worse about feeling bad about anything. So I pretend I don't, and then I have like a mental breakdown.
Talk about being queer and what does it mean to you? Do you define yourself as queer?
God, I guess I don't really think about this very much. I started casually exploring sleeping with women, but just in like a messy, embarrassing, like horrifying kind of way. I wasn't like, I'm going to explore my sexuality and like learn about queerness. It was just like, I think maybe I want to fuck women, you know? And like maybe if I get drunk enough, I'll like have the nerve, you know? I don't think that's an uncommon experience. And I also don't think people talk about how much like that party culture might be an excuse to explore your sexuality. I think what has been interesting for me is to not try to pretend like I never dated men, because I totally did a lot. And it wasn't like I didn't want to do it. I did. Like defining who I am has been more about not erasing that part of myself than about accepting the queer part of myself too.
Has this sort of revelation about your queerness, because it's happened alongside your music, right? Do you feel like it's impacted your music? Do you feel like your music's come from that? How do you feel like those things interact?
I definitely have like an outsider mentality, and I have found it difficult to make friends as an adult. I'm like figuring out through music, like how do I feel less alone? Like how can I feel less lonely? Because even as I get older and I'm better at communicating and I have friends that I like more and I feel more at home in social spaces, I continue to have these moments where I'm just like, I'm utterly alone. You know? And I don't think that's unique to me. I think maybe what I'm trying to do is like trying to share revelatory moments through music with other people so they can visit that moment through listening to the song, and that I can revisit that moment through playing the song. I think that's why music made by queer people is so popular. I don't think queer people are the only people who feel like outsiders, obviously. But I think it might be like a tiny bit more intensely felt, or there are more specific examples that you can draw from. Feeling like you want to be seen and seen accurately is like universal.
Do you feel like quarantine has made it clear or less clear, like the difference between Miya Folick as a person and Miya Folick as an artist?
I think I've always found it very, very difficult to separate those two things. And they've always been pretty integrated, like, except for sometimes when I forced myself to do things that I didn't want to do so I could make money. But I was still doing it as Miya. I was just kind of annoyed to be there. Yeah, I think I'm like not finished sorting through how I'm going to continue to be an artist in this industry post-quarantine. I don't want to just go back to normal, because I do think there are certain ways in which I was compromising that I no longer want to do. If I'm not doing this job in a way that I think is like worth having in this world, then I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to contribute to noise just so I could like be there and be seen.
So beautiful, so beautifully said. I love that. Have you been protesting?
I protested like the first week, kind of all week.
I feel like I'm consistently confused about the right approach, especially with social media being the driving factor, because I don't know really what the right thing to do is except to show up and be there.
I totally feel like making mistakes and not knowing what to do is part of the work, and it's part of recognizing like, oh, of course I don't know what to do and say. This isn't a space that I'm comfortable in, and I'm used to spaces where I'm comfortable because I'm privileged. I feel like my role at a protest is to protect and support like the community of Black people in any way that they need to be supported. And if that means like someone gets angry, then I'm there to like make sure nothing happens to them. It's kind of the way I see my body and myself.
One of the main sort of ideas that's really resonated with me over the past few weeks is the idea of whiteness as the neutral, and like that like people of other races are presumed to be seeing the world through a racialized lens. The white people are presumed to not have a racial lens. I was curious if you felt like that, especially in the music scene.
The indie music world can be extremely white, and just like my presence there makes me white. I think the music world in certain ways likes to point out ways in which you are unique. So they like key in on the fact that I am half Japanese and grew up Buddhist. They like love that and love talking about that. But I don't think that the conversation ever goes any deeper than that. It's this weird like, okay, we'll acknowledge that you're Asian, but then treat you like it doesn't mean anything.
Part of the reason I wanted to do this whole interview series is because I feel the same way about my queerness.
Yes,
Especially
yeah.
at the beginning of my career, I was like pushing and pushing and pushing to be more vocal about my queerness, but there was no interest in like delving in and being like, okay, but like, how does that affect what you're doing? This is super interesting. I like hearing you talk about all this. I think it's so inspiring.
Thank you for making me think about it. I feel like sometimes I don't. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Okay.
I miss you.
I'll see you soon. Miss you. Bye.
Bye.